Hi everyone, welcome to my reel. I'm Jennifer Wang, I'm 26 years old and I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner. I grew up in Columbus, Ohio, but I currently reside in North Carolina. I applied for the show because I know that I can be a great stunt performer. I have extensive martial arts experience and I grew up watching action or fight scenes, and it's so interesting to me and I really want to be a part of the stunt community. I grew up with 7 brothers and sisters, so it's a really big family, and we all got along really well because our parents taught us really well, and we were always patient with each other and kind, and there was always someone to hang out with and always someone to play with. And so it was a really good childhood, and I always was like the motherly type, and so I always took care of everybody and was always planning events and taking care of money for birthday parties and things like that. So I was always the motherly type, even though I'm number 5 out of 7. The 3 words that my family and friends would use to describe me are probably sweet, /caring, /thoughtful, and bubbly and adventurous.
Do you have any nicknames?
Yes, my brothers call me the Hun, like Attila the Hun, because I'm a go-getter and can be pretty savage. My proudest athletic achievement was winning the first place in the Mud Ninja OCR. The year before that, I had run it, and it was my first OCR, and I saw the winners, and I thought I could win it the next year, so I set my mind to it, and I won it the next year. Yes, I have been pushed beyond my physical limits. One time in Florida, I was doing stand-up paddleboarding, and I misjudged the distance, and it started to get really, really windy, and the waves started getting really choppy, and it was super, super hard to even move in the water, even though I was trying really hard, and I thought I was going to die.
What experiences have prepared you to be on the show?
My extensive martial arts training has been one of the biggest experiences that I would say. For example, I have trained for 21 years and I've been teaching for 13 years, so I've choreographed other students' forms, I've choreographed my forms, I've done demo teams, and so not only do I know how to kick and punch correctly, but I also know what it takes to be a choreographer and to understand the different nuances of that, which will help in stunt performing. I also understand movement and flow from my experience in aerial silks, aerial hoop, pole dancing, ninja, parkour, and running OCRs. I think my best qualities are that I'm a hard worker, I'm compassionate, I'm also observant, very observant. And I think my worst qualities would be that I tend to overthink. So if there's something coming up, I tend to overthink it and tend to overworry myself. But I've just learned to calm down and kind of relax and just think about it, but not too much. One of the family favorites was when I was 2 years old. All my older siblings had Twizzlers, and my mom didn't want me to have a Twizzler because I was so young, but I went over to my brother who was 5 years older than me. I stole the Twizzler from his mouth and just ran around being super happy. And I think that just shows that I'm a go-getter. I don't do mean things like that anymore, but if I want something, I'll put my mind to it and I'll work really hard to obtain that. I think everyone misunderstands intentions at one point or another. But yes, so I'm very motherly and I like to care for people, and I think sometimes people may think that's like babying them or thinking they're not responsible, but I just really care for them and really want to serve them. I don't like selfish people or people who just talk about themselves. I think you want to make sure that if you're in a conversation, you want to talk about the other person and make sure that you engage the other person as well. My proudest non-athletic achievement is obtaining my master's in nursing and graduating with my psychiatric nurse practitioner license. I experienced many challenges as a young female martial arts instructor, partly because I was young, partly because I was female, and I just really had to overcome them by being even more outgoing and even more sure in what I was teaching and having a lot more knowledge so that people trusted what I was saying and understood what I was saying. My mom is my hero because she raised us 7 kids along with my dad, but she did a lot of the raising because she was a stay-at-home mom. And we all turned out great, and she really inspires me because of her hard work, her patience with us, and everything that she instilled in us. Just by looking at me, you probably wouldn't know that I am a cat mom. I have 2 cats named Leo and Luna, and you also probably wouldn't know my age. I got mistaken for a middle schooler when I was in my 20s.
What type of things are you afraid of? Heights, bugs, etc.?
I am afraid of heights. I'm also afraid of rats and mice. Even though I get kind of like tingly in my body when I think about those things, I wouldn't let it affect my performance at all.
What do you enjoy doing that scares other people?
I really like adventuring, so when we're going hiking, I like to go off kind of the beaten path and just kind of go walk on ledges or go hike on, fallen tree branches or fallen trees actually. And a lot of times the people that I'm with get scared over that because it's over like a drop or over like a valley, a gully or something. Yes, I have had roommates, and it's nice to have a roommate because you always have someone to talk to, always have that constant presence. Sometimes it's just comforting knowing that someone else is in the house. Worst thing, I just really like to clean a lot, so if the roommate doesn't clean up, then I like to clean up after them. In times of conflict, I tend to approach the situation head on. I don't think it's good to just sit around and be thinking about some. Okay. When there's a conflict, I tend to approach the situation head on because I don't think it's healthy to keep anger or hurt inside and it doesn't solve anything. So I approach the situation head on and make sure that we talk about the situation and so that we can repair the relationship or friendship. It depends upon my comfortability with the group in terms of if I'm a leader or a follower. But if I'm pretty comfortable with the group, I'd say that I'm not afraid to give my feelings and my thoughts, and I'm okay, also following. The most shocking thing would probably have to be dyeing my hair blonde. As you can see, I'm naturally a dark hair or black hair, so dyeing my hair blonde by myself was probably the most shocking thing. I just went straight from black to blonde. It took a lot of time, but I did it myself, and it was pretty shocking for my friends. One thing that people either love or hate about me is my promptness and my attention to detail. If they're like me, then they like that too. But if they're not, then sometimes it can be too overbearing or too much attention to detail. I'm definitely a peacemaker. I'm not a fire starter. I don't think drama is necessary. I like to keep the peace and make sure that everything's nice and chill. One time when I stood my ground for something I strongly believe in was when some of my friends were gossiping about these other girls. I think it was at a camp. It was like a really intimate time. We were just all laying in bed or whatever. And they started gossiping about these other girls that were, I'm not sure, like the popular group. And I felt immediately bad. I wasn't gossiping, but I stopped it. And I didn't want to ruin the intimate moment, but I did stop it. And later on, they somehow found out about that, and they thanked me for stopping that and, for standing up for what I believed in. The most adventurous thing and potentially dangerous thing that I've ever done was move to North Carolina about a year ago. I don't know anyone in North Carolina, and we moved for my boyfriend's job, and we just kind of got up and moved. We planned out a lot of stuff, but it could have been dangerous if we didn't plan out, didn't know what we were doing. But thankfully, we planned it all out, and it turned out great. Well, I think it's pretty kick-ass that I have my 30-year black belt in Taekwondo and that I've been teaching for 13 years. And I think it's also pretty cool that I've won a lot of OCRs and that I run them pretty often. Yes, so something that I achieved that everyone said I couldn't do was go straight from nursing school, undergrad, into grad school for nursing. A lot of people said I needed experience before I went in. There are two different roles though, as an RN and a nurse practitioner. So I went straight into grad school and it turned out great, and I'm a successful nurse practitioner now. This opportunity means so much to me. It would be awesome to break into the stunt world and get to know the stunt coordinators and stunt people. And I think what would set me apart is my work ethic. I'm a very hard worker, and I guarantee that you will not find anyone who works harder than me.
Why do there need to be more female stunt performers?
I think there need to be more female stunt performers because everything needs a feminine touch. Males and females both have their strengths and weaknesses, and I think we're made to complement each other. And female stunt performer pays attention to all those nuances and things that maybe a male stunt performer wouldn't notice. And I think we deserve a chance too. First, I would ask, how is a guy playing a woman? Just because obviously we have different body types, and so I don't feel like it would match up to the actual actress. And I would also ask, why? Is it just because there's a lack of female performers, or is it because you don't think that a female can perform the stunt as well? If it's the latter, then I would say that you need to look harder. There are definitely female stunt performers out there who can perform that stunt, and I think that we need to give females as much attention as the males. Yes, it is definitely possible to be ass-kicking and feminine at the same time. The only reason that we think they're mutually exclusive is because society tells us that they are, but I don't think that's the case. You can definitely be hardcore and feminine at the same time, and for example, there's a lot of different actresses, Scarlett Johansson and Hathaway, who played feminine and strong characters. And I think, like I said, the only reason we think that you can't be too is because society tells us that you can't. From as young as I can remember, I always wanted to do what my older brothers did and hang with the boys. I always thought that their things were a lot cooler, and it seemed like boys always got the better things to do. It always seemed like more fun and more adventurous, and I like those things. I don't think there needs to be a barrier between male and females. Like I said earlier, we both have our strengths, but we can both complement each other as well. I would definitely want to star in an action movie with Jackie Chan because he is just the ultimate stunt performer. He does all his stunts, and I read one of his books or his biography, and it was super interesting just to learn about all, how he grew up and all the stunts that he did. And I would definitely want to perform with him. If I could be a stunt double for any movie star, it would probably be Angelina Jolie, Scarlett Johansson, or Mila Jovovich, just because they seem to have the most cool stunts and most cool roles. Okay. Because of my martial arts background, I definitely think I would favor doing fight scenes. But if I could do any, one stunt, I would want to run next to a train and jump into the train.